Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. The online darts live lounge returns. We are 24 hours later than normal, but for a one-off special, the band is back together. Myself, Phil Bars, Jack Garwood, and Jonathan Eaton are here. Gentlemen, good evening.
Who let him in?
Well, trust me, Gob. Again, this is something that I did not have on the 2024 bingo card. I had 20 quid on it, so I better pay up. Good evening, everybody. It's two nights in a row. 2 nights in a row. What's going on?
What's happening here?
Divorce papers are in the post.
What's that?
Divorce papers are in the post.
At this rate, especially with the way that my wonderful daughter is behaving tonight, bless her, I think definitely the divorce papers are already been in the post.
I think it's jealousy that you get to see me and she doesn't.
That's true, actually. We did see you on Sunday, and she's not stopped talking about you. I'll leave it at that. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Online Darts Live Lounge.
Oh, how are we doing? Let's jump into the chat room and say hello. Della's in, Malachi, Tommy. Both Tommies are in. Bob, Ricky, Connor, Barry, Joel. Dan is in. Bill, Paddy, Dave from New Zealand. And Bill says, well, Jonathan, good to see you. Yes, he is back for a one-off special. It's like the Take That reunion.
It's like when Robbie, yes, I say, it's like when Robbie rejoined Take That, isn't it? I was there for that. It was actually quite good. Really good show, actually.
Oh.
Really good show.
We had NSYNC reunite for a one-off special the other night, so we thought, sod it. Let's join the party.
Fair enough. Why not? Why not? I'm just looking. I presume, by the way, Barzy, you won't be looking at the screen from 8:15. You'll be looking at TNT Sports, or not?
I've got it's above me there, so I can see what's going on. It's fine.
Yeah, really well done. Well played.
So you've got it set up, so I don't have to move my eye line like that. I've got Sky Sports on that TV, on soccer special, and then the stream up there. It's all good.
Yep, all good. And Gob has a new background as well.
Yeah, we're not talking about this one. Give it 5 weeks. Not 5 weeks. 48 days.
48 days. Okay, so 6.5 weeks then.
Not that I'm counting down already.
Gob is now a Southern lad.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Oh dear.
You know the bit where you'd kill for a travel lodge? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Adam's right. Need to get the shelf up. The prime bottles are missing.
Not there, to be fair. But they were left in
what the hell is Fallon going to... What else is Fallon going to call you now? Can't call you Prime Boy.
That was still one of the funniest things of 2023.
That's a her problem.
Fair enough.
Gentlemen, since the last time we were on, it's been another manic week in darts. Luke and Luke ruling the world. We've had some brilliant ADC stuff. So it's just all go. And obviously a Euro tour with plenty of lederhosen on show.
Such a stupid concept, that one. It really does my head in. I never want to be a professional ref if I have to stand there dressed like that. I'm more than happy doing what I do.
I think it's brilliant. Kurt Bevins in a lederhosen. There's the new material for tonight.
What's wrong with a bit of lederhosen?
Just not for me, lads.
Even
with the legs I've got.
I just thought, actually, since the last time that we were on this show together, I think there's been about 2 years have passed. I think, actually. So, actually, you're factually correct, Barzy. There's been an absolute shit ton that's happened since the last time that the three of us were on together on this program.
I thought you did a guest appearance last year at some point.
No, the last time I was on there was for the Quiz of the Year in 2022. I had all of 2023 off. I was busy. Quite literally, in my case. Yes.
I suppose. Matador, how are we doing? Right, so let's jump straight into it. Let's go to the Premier League. Let's go back to Belfast. And finally, Luke Littler has his first nightly win in the Premier League. And I think it's been coming, boys. He's been playing too well not to win one.
Yeah, pretty astute. That's just the truth, isn't it? Like, he's not lost first round very early. He just kept accumulating 2 points. The performances he was putting in round ones were superb. He just wasn't delivering and backing those up. But the run went good for him. He played some bloody good darts. Deservedly got a win on the board. I think we're now down to the players that we were debating right at the start of the season if they would or wouldn't win one. I think he was in that conversation of winning one. And for me, he's an absolute lock to make champ finals night right now.
We'll come on to that in a minute. We'll come on to the conundrum of the league in a minute. How are we doing now? I hope you are good. But look, the night opened with an absolute drama of a game, and Littler beating Humphries in a last leg decider. And you always felt that the winner of that game was probably going to go on and at least make the final bare minimum.
Well, I think the other Luke was won 3 on the spin by that point. He was the man to beat. It was almost like, right, if you knock him out, you've got a bloody good chance of going on and succeeding. They've got a nice little rivalry, a nice little head-to-head building from that World Championship final.
But is it, though? Littler's beaten in the past 3 occasions, but Humphries beaten him in the one that matters.
Humphries was 3-1 up at one point. So, yeah, it is really nicely poised little head-to-head.
But the thing is that that's my point, is that Littler's beaten him, I think, in every Premier League game they've played each other. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure the chat room will. But Luke has beaten him in the one that matters. It feels like a certain rivalry in 2018, or 2017, I should say, between Michael Van Gerwen and Rob Cross could be building, where obviously MVG beat Rob Cross in pretty much every event, and in particular every Euro tour that he played in, but Cross beat him in the one that mattered. I don't know.
Do Premier League nights actually count, is the question, because we've heard so many of them say, I don't care about winning a night, it's just about getting to the O2.
I think it does. I think you've got to win. People have got to win nights in order to get to finals night. Obviously, Littler was the exception, and I appreciate what Rob Cross said at the start of the tournament, that if you get 2 points every week, the chances are you're going to be in the top 4. But yeah, I think they do count, because it can be a massive, massive moment for Luke to finally get over the hump, because he missed 2 match darts against MVG in Berlin, as we know, and since then he's not made another final. He seems to produce absolute worldly displays in the quarterfinal, and then was struggling to back it up in the semi-final. So to be able to do it in that format not only helps him obviously going further on and making sure that he secures that spot officially for finals night, but also it puts it in his head for finals night that actually you can play 2 matches in a night and you'll be fine and win it, obviously.
Yeah, no, it's one of those ones. And I get 10k a night is a lot of money, but to the top, I was about to say, to the top players, they get paid more than that for an exhibition in continental Europe. A lot more than that.
Why do you think Philip goes off and does the exhibitions on a Friday night on the Euro tour? Why do you think that happens?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, 10k is a lot of money, but it's not to the elite.
Just thing on that, Barzi, just to say, why do you think they've upped the Pro Tour prize money to £15,000 from £10,000 2 years ago? That's all I'll say.
Because someone's funding it, because they've moved to midweek.
Well, no, but also we saw what happens when they used to have 10k a night, 10k an event. The top players would get enough to get to Minehead, and then the schedules would be managed. 15 grand at least gives them an opportunity to go and play in more of the tournaments. And obviously, with it being midweek, it means now that they have the opportunity to not have have their weekends ruined.
I still think we'll see schedules managed. It's just too early in the year.
Yeah.
They've already taken a week off. Humphries has taken a week off. I think Smith's won. Van Gerwen's been to Florida. Like, trust me, we will see schedules managed. I get what you're saying about the prize money, but actually, these boys are gonna take time off anyway. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. MVG beats Michael Smith. Again, a good first round performance from Van Gerwen, but a drop off, which we'll come on to in the semi final. Aspinall edges out Price. And I don't know what Gerwen Price has got to do to win a Premier League game at the moment, because...
Hit a fucking double. There's the answer. Jesus, the man's missing more. The man's missing more than Darwin Núñez in his first season. Jesus Christ!
Does that mean he's going to be the best in the world next year?
Could be. He's already done that once.
But
on a serious note, hit a double, man. I appreciate. I appreciate, by the way, that I could not be in that pressure. I'm just sorry. I appreciate I could not do it under that pressure. But if you're an elite sportsman, that's how person, I should say, that's how it works. We hit a double. It's like, did you see the thing that he posted on Instagram yesterday? He said, "I hit a double, no one can beat me. But if I don't hit doubles, people beat me." I was like, well, that is kind of how darts works, Gezzy.
Yeah. Like if you play golf, if you get the ball in the hole, you win.
Yeah, that is
true.
Get
in the hole.
Yeah. Mashed potatoes.
And then a very off night for Rob Cross, averaging 83, beaten by Snakey.
Strange one for Rob. He's not been. I don't think we've seen the top level from him as much as I expected this year so far. This is night 9. We are just over the halfway stage. I thought he was one that was allowed to just go under the radar coming into this Premier League. I thought he was one of the more informed players in that field. Don't get me wrong, he's still got a pretty okay points return, but I just want to see a little bit more from Rob Cross, because if that doesn't come in the next couple of weeks, by the time we get to Sheffield in night 12, he's under a lot of pressure in the back end of the season to catch those in that top 4.
Yeah, semi-finals. The drop-off from MVG. He's gone from 106 to 94.5. And let's be fair, it was quite one-sided in Littler's favour. That when MVG is good, he is still good. But the drop-off is bigger than it's ever been.
The biggest issue is that we saw, I mean, no spoiler alert, but apologies everyone, but we saw that really in the final. I mean, to be fair, yesterday, okay, he averaged close to a ton and got nowhere near because the player who's playing was on another bloody level. But his biggest issue at the minute is that he still is overextending, in my opinion, on the dart. He's still not holding the dart correctly. There's far too many flyers into the 5s and to the 1s that you don't normally see from MVG. And I also think that we mentioned this yesterday, Phil. If his cover shooting doesn't fire for him on the 19s, he's buggered, because there's more times at the moment that he's missing over the top on the treble 20 and he can't find a way through. And so if the 19s don't fire for him, well, you know, he doesn't win darts matches. He's still got an insane amount of talent. There's no doubt about that. But the consistency is mind-boggling.
To put into context the drop-off, like, it is big, but it's also not big. He's gone from a 14 dart leg average to a 16 dart leg average, which is an extra visit, is the key point there. And it's all on the scoring in this situation. He was still 3 from 6 on a double. He just did not give himself enough chances against Luke. But when Littler, the flaw in Littler's game that we've all seen over time now is the fact that he has lots of treble-less visits, but is allowed to get himself out of trouble with a big visit. Van Gerwen wasn't scoring enough to apply that pressure, to make sure that that big visit has to come, to give him more chance at doubles. Like I said, he's only had 6 darts of double in 9 legs against Littler in that situation. His scoring just fell off, and that's range first dart. Look, we've seen that happen loads of times. Look at a Pro Tour. Look how often players go from 106 in the first round to average 92 in the second, to be back up at 98 in the third. Sometimes you get away with it. Sometimes you don't. You're less likely to get away with it in the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't like the position of the dart in hand at the moment. I genuinely don't. That angle down is causing too many issues for the wrist to correct it on release.
Yeah.
And I think that's a massive issue.
He just becomes a player that relies on timing more than anything else, which means he has to focus a lot more. And we know, even when he was at his absolute peak, he had moments where he'd switch off or he'd start chasing crazy things on the dartboard, etc. Like, the game has gone from being incredibly easy for Michael to something that he's got to put that little bit more thought into while he's up there. And I'm not sure he's been in that position for a long, long time, and it's something he's got to get right very, very quickly. When he's firing, though, like, he is still one of the best in the world right now. Like, he's still got that level. We've still seen him absolutely blow people away. There is still an element of fear factor there, perhaps not as much from the likes of Humphries and the guys that are playing him in the Premier League, perhaps lower down on the tour. But he's had a rough few years compared to that 2016, 2017 peak of his that we saw. Injuries and whatever else that have come his way. He's still phenomenal as a dart player, though.
Oh, yeah, look, he's still incredible, but there's work to do with the action. We've seen that Rob Cross over the years has had problem with the action. Peter Wright with the elbow at different levels, and I just think that MVG needs to correct that at the moment. Aspinall seeing off Peter Wright in the other semi-final, and then in the final, Luke Littler trailed 3-1, but then put the afterburners on and did a number on Aspinall.
I'm not sure I'd say do a number on him, personally. Just looking at the game itself.
From 3-3, I didn't see Aspinall winning.
No, and that's a fair point, but that's because Littler hit a game-changing outshot. Appreciate Aspinall was quite far back on a 1-3-3, but when you fire in a 1-2-5, which I then tweeted about, the obligatory tweet about Luke Littler making darts fucking easy and his complete joke tweet of the week, absolutely ridiculous. That 1-2-5 was just mind-blowingly good. And I think I hate to do. I don't. Right. I'm not saying that darts players can't be pally with each other up on the stage, but after the 1-2-5, the way that Aspinall responded with that was it. His head's gone completely, because he knew that he just basically conceded the match right there with the response to the celebration, in my opinion.
To be fair, I am with you. I think they are over friendly now.
Yeah,
it's what they used to be.
I get it.
For a long time, isn't it? That like in the old format, you could get away with not being pally because you played each other twice a year. In the Premier League, you might draw each other in 2 other majors and 3 times on the floor.
Yeah, but
Littler and Humphries have already played each other 5 times. It's April.
I get that, but we're still seeing too much, even on Euro tours, little fist pumps in between. Yeah, you took out 90 on the ball. Who cares?
I'm with you.
They all spend that much time with each other. Like, it's just easier, isn't it? You get ones that will stay away from each other, but actually, this sport is difficult enough. And then you start battling against little indiscretions you got with other players, etc. Like, it's just so much easier for them to just crack on with it. Yes, sometimes they lose an edge about that in the game, but actually, in a sport that is 90%, 50, somewhere between 30 and 90% mental, if you make that mental side of the sport as easy as possible by only focusing on what's going on the dartboard, then your life becomes a lot easier.
But then I then caveat that by saying that things like with Littler losing games, he puts his darts case in his he darts away in his case first before he shakes the player's hand, and everybody gives him, well, GBBs and Sport Bible decide to give him shit for it. So in my opinion, the players can't win, but I do think that they are overly friendly, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, we'll come on to the Littler thing in a minute, because we've got a good clip on that from someone that knows a little bit about things of that nature.
What Peter Manley?
We need more Peter Manley dark arts going on. Bring them back.
By the way,
it's too stressful, right? Look at the last person that really went full ham on the dark art / wasn't bothered about being liked. Gerwyn Price. Look at it. Look at the toll it has taken on Gerwyn Price in what, a 5-year career at the top of the sport.
I'd say this though, that I just think that you don't need to be the darting dark art, but admittedly, you don't need to give a fist pump every time that someone hits a 180. Like, just get over it, for God's sake. Like, just get on. As Philip Douglas, who we might hear from later on, said, shut up, get on the practice board, get on the board and play your darts. Let your darts do the talking. Don't need to be doing all this nonsense alongside it. It's all shite.
Right, we're going to play.
I'm on one tonight.
We're going to play a clip from Luke, and then we're going to discuss the table. So here's what Luke said afterwards.
Not really. It was just good to beat Luke, get my 2 points and end his streak. And then, but like I said tonight, I've not really practiced as much as I have been. And like I said before, it's paid off and I've become out the winner.
Was it important for you to win
one of these nights, or is it just all eyes on getting to the O2, or is there a balance between winning a night and doing both?
I know the situation between 4th and 5th, same points, and if one's won more nights than the other, then they'll go through. But it's not on my mind. I know that's there, but winning this, it's put a huge gap between me and 2nd and 5th and 6th. And Nath tonight, he's done well, and it puts us 2nd and 3rd by 2-3 points.
He was obviously fully aware of dropping out of the top 4 last week briefly for a week, and winning that has put him in a commanding position. Looking at the table, top 4 as it stands: Humphries on 22, Littler on 18, MVG 17, Aspinall on 16, and there's a 3-point gap to Michael Smith. And are we maybe 1 or 2 results away, or 1 or 2 first round defeats away from that top 4 almost being done this early?
I'm not sure, because one win changes it all, doesn't it? Like, I think Cross has got to avoid early defeats in the next couple of weeks. Michael Smith is the one that I still think can and potentially will gate crash that top 4 for me. I think there's an argument, if you look at the displays all year, that actually Michael Smith has played better darts than Nathan Aspinall in this Premier League, but Aspinall just has a knack of accumulating points, winning matches with a mid-90 average. Like, just go back and look through the weeks and look through the wins that Aspinall's had compared to the losses that Michael Smith is having at the same time. It's absolutely crazy. That's where I think the change can and will come. Like I said, if they do start slipping, then they're in trouble. Liverpool is a big one for me. That's where we got 3 more until we get to there. We'll know if a race is on or not by Liverpool.
My worry for Michael Smith, though, is his next 3 quarter-final games. This week he plays Humphries. Then in Birmingham, he plays Price. And then in Sheffield, he plays Littler.
You've got to play them all at some point. Like, this is the Premier League. I get what you're saying. Humphries and Littler are the top 2, right? So they're difficult. You'd expect him to be beating Gerwin Price right now.
Would you?
Yeah, look at the table. Look at the stats.
But overall, I think Price is playing better than Smith.
Continues, then yes, you'd expect Michael Smith to be getting results against Gerwin Price, because Price can't buy a win. Like, that's just the way that we're looking at it in this context. If you look at the wider picture, Gerwin Price is playing good darts and not getting any results. You could say that about Smith at times. It's Cullen of 2 years ago. It's Dobie averaging 104 on the Pro Tour every week and losing. Like, it happens. It's an anomaly, but it does happen. At the moment, it's happening to Gerwin Price. And if we're being honest, is Gerwin Price the sort of character we think that we can get over that? No, because he's posting on his Instagram story about hitting doubles. He's firmly in his own head right now. And if that continues, the likes of Michael Smith have to take advantage of that. Yeah, because at some week, go.
Or is he gone?
Gone.
No, to be fair, I think he's bob on. Like, at the end of the day, Michael Smith is still, in my opinion, right in this race. I still think that there are a couple of other players that are definitely in this race still. I think Rob Cross is absolutely in this race. I do think, though, that unless he pulls something off in the next couple of days and in the next couple of nights, Gerwin Price, he has to win the night in Manchester, and he's probably got to win one of the other remaining nights if he's going to get anywhere close. Luke Humphries is in. Littler, not completely, but he's 95% in. Same with MVG. Aspinall is the one I think that they are currently chasing. And going off of the balance of luck and probabilities and stuff, you know, the chances are that with the way that Aspinall, as God was saying before, he was rudely interrupted by his Wi-Fi, said that 95% of, you know, all these sorts of stuff he's averaging with a 95, and he's winning 6-5, sooner or later, that's going to turn the other way.
I'm not sure Rob Cross is in the race right now.
If he wins one of the next couple of nights, I think he's right in there.
If he wins one of the nights, agree. But right now, he's a complete night win away from the playoffs without anyone else picking up anything.
But that's the thing, like one night win, and that's what God was saying, one night win changes everything, in my opinion.
It does to a point, but the problem is they don't look like winning a night at the moment. That's because that you've got one player in particular, possibly two, but certainly one player that is playing at a level that, as I said last night, has not been seen since Gary Anderson's 2018. It's intriguing because that takes us straight on. We'll seg on it and we'll come back to do the Premier League predictions later on. But you touched on it there. That takes us straight into the Euro Tour this week. And the world number one and world champion played at a level that I don't think anyone else can get near when he's at that level at the moment. He's literally dismantling the world's best.
And he's making it look easy. He's making it look easy. Like shelling peas for Luke Humphries right now. The level that he's finding. He's got such an easy and carefree style of throwing as well. That means that he never looks like he's putting a load of effort in. But I think that irritates and winds up opponents even more.
Well, I've just gone through his averages, right? I'm just going through his averages as we speak from the weekend. Let me just read these out. First round against Luke Woodhouse, he pumps in just 108.68. That's just a start off. Then against Ryan Joyce, pumps in an 111.63. After that, when he plays Danny Noppert, he pumps in 106.94. It's a bit shite then in the game against Gerwin Price, in which he featured 8 180s, just 99.93, nothing spectacular. And then he goes and hits the average of 112.6 against Michael Van Gerwen in the final. That is utterly stupid, darts. Stupid.
It's ridiculous. And like Gob said, it's the way he's doing it. He is literally just dismantling the rest of the 128 right now. Single-handedly looks untouchable when he's on. And that is all the time.
I liken this to a parallel to another sport. Rest of Formula One at the moment is on a reasonably level playing field, but they're all trying to chase Max Verstappen and they're all failing when he's on. Luke Humphries is exactly like that. The rest of the 128 are playing some good stuff. Luke Humphries is playing chess while the rest of them are playing checkers. He's setting the standard. And I said last night, and I still do believe this, he could get to £2 million by the end of the year.
The difference is there are 30 other dart players that are sponsored by Red Dragon. There's only one other driver in the same car as Verstappen.
I get that, but you know what I mean. Like, Verstappen is in a different class. Like, he's playing chess while the rest of them are playing checkers, and Luke Humphries is doing exactly the same. Like, he was in my opinion, was the deserved winner of the World Championship. No doubt about that. He probably should have won the UK Open. I know he didn't miss about 1,500 match starts prior to the final leg, but Luke probably should have won the UK Open. He is top of the Premier League. He has an opportunity to win the match play, and still we should be favourite for that. He's won 5 of the last 7 TV titles. It's just ridiculous. Or 4 of the last 7, sorry, I should say. 4 of the last 7.
Yeah, it is bonkers. And
I guess the thing is that when he hit a little bit of a slump just after winning the World Championship, like, I'm not sure who it was, but people were out there calling him the worst world champion of all time. Stupid comments, but that clearly got to Luke a little bit.
Yeah.
But the rest of the field did not keep him down for long enough, because what they've now allowed Luke to do is to go from, you look at his progression in the PDC overall, from Dev Tour player to World Youth Champion to progress all the way up to this rank. So he's overcome at that stage. He took time away from darts and he's come back. And now he's hit a slump while he's at the top. And they've allowed him to come back within 6 weeks. But he's learned all these little processes on how to overcome these things. Admittedly, in a shorter space of time than some others would be exposed to them. But, like, what is there for him to fear right now?
But you have to remember that comments like that are from gonks who probably haven't only just started watching darts.
Yeah.
You know, all the casuals that probably came alongside with Littler. I mean, anybody with half a brain cell could tell you that world champions normally have a bit of a slump after they win the Worlds. See Michael Smith last year towards the start of the year. See Peter Wright 2022 and 2020. Look at Gerwyn Price. He's already had a massive slump probably since 2021. Still hasn't got anywhere close to winning a major title. Only 2 finals in that time period. It's utterly ridiculous. Again, though, world champions, especially first-time world champions, will always have slumps in this point because they are not used to being the poster player for the sport. And Luke has come back, as you say, Gob, and just smashed it out of the park, won 3 straight Premier League nights without really anybody getting close to him. And now just won the second Euro Tour event without anybody getting close to him, averaging stupid numbers. And he is, and as I say, I think that at the moment, the year that he's having right now, he obviously needs a couple of more TV titles alongside that. Probably needs to win the World Match Play and probably another TV title alongside it. But he's having the best year that anyone's had since 2018 Gary Anderson, when he was the best player in the world.
Oh, yeah, incredible.
I mean, you look at that year for Gando, world championship semi-finalist with an injured back that he couldn't move. You look at winning the World Match Play with a 9-darter and a big fish in the same game. Looking at the UK Open with the Beast from the East, Players Championship semi-final, won a couple of other TV titles. I think it might have won the World Cup that year. Might have still been Barney. I don't know with MVG. But Gary was on an utter level. And Derek says, is he really dominating though? No, you're right. We're not saying that he's on the level of MVG, but you have to remember the year we have just turned into April. The rest of the tournaments, we still haven't had the World Match Play, still haven't had the rest of the big TV titles. If Luke Humphries goes and wins all of that this year, then we have to put it up there with the length of 2016 MVG. We just have to.
Yeah. But admittedly, there's only been 2 Euro Tours. He's won one of them. He's not been as successful on a Pro Tour as perhaps he would have targeted. But when we're looking, or you're comparing MVG in 2016 winning half the tournaments he entered, Van Gerwen's playing 1 Premier League match a night. You're only really comparing the fact that Van Gerwen won the finals. That's your comparison on events entered. Luke's already winning multiple Premier League nights, and look, I think he's favourite to win next week as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he would be favourite, absolutely. But going back to the Euro Tour, let's dig in to it. I want to talk about Cameron Menzies because he's had such a good year today. It took a very good Michael Smith performance.
Are we not predicting Premier League first?
No, we said we'd go back to the Premier League later.
Okay.
Because we shoehorned Luke Humphries into the Euro Tour. Cameron Menzies is only a couple of grand off the match play. And he's picking up money with a lot of regularity at the moment.
Very, very good level we're seeing from Cammy right now. He's still got the character of Cameron about him, but there is less antics, it seems, from Menzies. There's no getting timed out or any of that nonsense that we've seen before, or run around. There's no stories coming from the Pro Tour that Cammy's done this, and this, and then rocked up to play his game with 10 minutes to spare, or lost his luggage, or I know you can't help losing your luggage, but none of that seems to be happening to Cammy right now. He seems to have knuckled down a bit. I think the way that Fallon approaches games might have worn off a little bit on Cameron and gone, actually, there's money to be made here. If you knuckle down and you prepare in the right way, you get yourself there a day early, or you prep this way, we get your packing done and all that sort of stuff that just makes your journey and everything so much more simple, hassle-free, and you can focus on the darts. All of that seems to be working right now for Cameron Menzies.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And right now, he's making a run for the match play, which no doubt we'll talk about. But is Ryan Searle in?
No.
Also, good returns of form. Josh Rock starting to play well again. Not had the best 6 months in terms of TV stuff, perhaps, but a sign that Rocky is returning to somewhere near the form of 2022.
Perhaps. I like the way that Rock carries himself, I think. You would never, well, you would know because of the way he reacts to darts going in. But actually, the minute he's away from the oche, the way that he walks about the oche, he just walks about like he owns a place. And I like that in a character. And like, you can't really gain a lot from him. I guess it's weird because like I just said, he is quite a heart on the sleeve character. You could see the reaction when the trebles aren't in there. He looks to his corner an awful lot. But when he's on it, he is absolutely mustard.
Yeah, no, completely. It's interesting that the Euro Tour itself this time, we're seeing players play their way back into some form. Danny Noppert, we've already spoken about Menzies and Rock. It's interesting that going into this period of Euro Tours and Pro Tours, we're now seeing players rekindle form of a year ago.
We are, and I'm not really sure why we're surprised, to be honest. A lot of these players just had a bloody big gap in playing darts. A lot of them barely throw a dart in January at all. If they go out early in the World Championships, then we've maybe seen them at Minehead. Like, this is the chance where they get to start building that up again. And actually, whilst the Premier League is on, and whilst we've seen a few World Series events, the only other chance we've really had to see these players has been the UK Open. They've had one major to get ready for. They've had 4 Pro Tours and 2 Euro Tours. Like, we need to see more of them. And we're going to start talking about these names an awful lot more because we're seeing them a lot more as the calendar goes on.
Yeah. Jermaine Wattimena, that we saw him play well the back end of last year. And a lot of people seem to forget he was a top 16 player 3-4 years ago. And the run he had at the Euro Tour was inspiring. That, yes, he's lost to Van Gerwen, but beating Chisnell, doing a number on Stephen Bunting, that just signs that Wattimena is making a move here. And maybe just he's better than he was, even when he was that top 16 player.
I'm not going to say that about Jermaine. He's in good form right now, yes. He is one of the players that I view as who is weaker mentally.
Oh, he's fragile, 100%.
He's very fragile.
Fragile, 100%.
If anything goes wrong in the next week or so, we see a massive drop-off from Jermaine straight away. He's in good form. Long may it continue. It is great to see. He's brilliant to watch. He flies around the board. But like I said, he is a character that comes across to me as extremely fragile, and that needs protecting. So, look, whilst he's winning back-to-back quarterfinals, yes, do I think he's a better player than he was 5-6 years ago? No, because I think he's got more scar tissue, and I think he will allow things to go wrong. He's got more knowledge of what went wrong last time, and I don't quite think he knows how to fix that and put things right when it's not going his way.
I think he slowed the throw down. I think the throw looks better and more reliable. He doesn't spray him around like he used to.
Not all of the throw. He's another who is benefiting from just a half-second pause to set at the oche. We're seeing that, like, the person who exaggerates that set probably more than Tommy Morris, right? The juxtaposition between Tommy Morris's set at the oche and then the 3 darts that follow is mental. It, like, you just wouldn't teach it at all, but that set just allows him to be comfortable. Stephen Bunting actually takes a fair amount of time to make sure his foot position is right and he's okay at the oche. For a player that we associate as being pretty quick and pretty rapid, Stephen Bunting is set in motion and getting to the oche. He's not very quick at all.
Yeah.
And Jermaine is another one he's just taking that extra half a second to get him in the right position. And that's crucial for these guys because once they're in that position, they find the first dart, they follow. It's such an easy game when you get those 2 bits right. It's just how often they can get those bits right. And that half a second is giving them the chance to do that.
Yeah, no, look, I get that. Just looking at the Euro Tour, the crowd obviously was brought up again. I didn't see it, but issues in the Dobie game.
I mean, I wasn't watching that bit either, but I think the way that Dobie addressed it came across a little bit hostile, and he probably won't get any favours for that, judging by the fact there's another 6 Euro tours in Germany this year, or 5, or whatever that number is. But I think he's bang on, and we've banged on about this for an awful long time now. There is a way to support a player, and booing and whistling whilst the opponent is throwing is not the way. And this behaviour isn't just on the Euro Tour. We say this every time, but it does seem to be something that popped up and was allowed to grow a lot more through the Euro Tour and through supporting home nation players in various places. The absolute best example of it is Belgium. They are one of the best crowds in the world. They are incredibly respectful when the opponent is playing, but they will back their man to the hill. And it's brilliant to see. If you want an example of how to do it, go and watch a Belgian Darts Open. Like, they're just so much better there than everybody else. But look, we've been on about this for years now. How long have we been doing this show? What episode is this? 153? That's 3 years. Plus before, when we were doing various other podcasts or whatever, like, they just need to go. Security need to do more, and the PDC need to go on a little rampage for 3 months.
Yeah, but they don't want to, I don't think. That's the issue.
Yeah, because it makes stories. But, like, this is where, again, they're bloody useless. They're like chocolate fire guard. But this is where people like the PDPA and the players need to go and go, we're not happy with these conditions. We don't care if it benefits us once a year. We're not happy with it X, Y, Z. And it seems to just be that you get the odd player going, no, calm down, that's not right in the background. And that's enough for people to go, oh, actually, yeah, it's all right. They shouldn't be talked about as often as they are as a crowd. And they shouldn't have as much control over the outcome of a game as they do.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, though. What's the difference between a whole stand booing and whistling at a penalty taker at a football game when he's about to step up and take a penalty?
Nothing. Get rid of him. I guess the argument in football is that for the majority of the season, you have home and away. You get a chance to do it back. Right? The darts events are spread out far greater than that. Euro Tour is a massive advantage to anybody that is German. UK majors are an advantage there. It's like it doesn't balance out in terms of where the money is, where you're chasing, or anything like that at all. That's the difference. I don't. Do I agree with it in football? No. Does that make me soft? Probably don't care. But in that context, like you look at rugby, when they're taking a penalty, the entire ground is silent. 70,000 in Twickenham do not say a word when a kicker is taking a penalty.
I disagree, right? I'm not an egg-chasing fan, but I was flicking through the channels. I can't remember what game it was. It wasn't England, but they were certainly making a whole lot of noise when Matey was kicking.
Not until it leaves his boot. Watch 95% of professional rugby. The minute a kicker is taking a spot kick for a penalty or a conversion, the crowd is silent, or they should be.
No,
and if you're not, you'll get booed for it.
I disagree. I don't see the issue.
You know the issue.
No,
a
I'm
wall
talking
of
about...
noise is absolutely fine. A whistle or a shriek or something that makes your body do a reaction that you cannot control is not fair.
No, I was talking about football and that here. It is what it is.
I also think that in that regard, the sport and the actions are too large. Right, the motor skill is too great in football and rugby for a whistle to make a difference. Whereas in darts, that shriek from an environment where you can't hear it to suddenly you can hear it has the ability to tense up your body where the margins for error are so much smaller than playing football.
But the problem is you look at the two codes as it was. You had Lakeside that was a library and no atmosphere. And the PDC's been built on this party, whether people like it or not, it's been built. The World Championships is built as the biggest Christmas party. Now, without that atmosphere, and are people going to go along? I don't think they are.
No, but you can be in that atmosphere without whistling to put off a player. It's been done. It was done 20 years ago when those atmospheres were first coming up.
I don't think that.
Also, Lakeside not having an atmosphere is an absolute myth, by the way. It did. It just wasn't a singing and dancing party atmosphere. There was an atmosphere there.
Not a very good one. I remember when, what's his name, Fitzmaurice was like, can I remind you, you're at Lakeside, not the other one. Come on now.
Yeah, there was still an atmosphere. They still supported and cheered and clapped and whatever, but it wasn't singing and chanting and shouting a lot. It was, respectfully, the atmosphere that the likes of the seniors go to, that they're trying to sell as an atmosphere that fans are going, actually, yeah, this is brilliant because you don't have the piss edge. You don't have people whistling and shrieking. You can go and watch the darts. That's the issue now. Like a lot of sports, to be honest. There's an argument online right now about ticket prices potentially going up in the Premier League next year. All 20 clubs looking at a price like just pricing out actual fans. And darts is going to do the same. To the point where we all end up as keyboard warriors online because all we want to do is watch the best darts and we see the same 6 players over and over again.
We're coming on to that after the end, later on anyway. It's on the talking point. But in terms of that atmosphere, when they're selling the amount of tickets they are, they're not going to change it. They're not. Well, when they're selling that volume of tickets, the first time ever the Premier League has been sold out, built on that atmosphere, they're not going to change it.
Like I said, you can and will still have that atmosphere if you get... how many people are actually whistling on the night? 5, 10?
I think it's more than that. I
do.
Oh, I do. Having been at the Premier League this year, it's all the time. Every game there's whistling now.
If you get rid of the first 5 every single night, the rest don't follow because they want to still be there. They've paid money to be there. You're not going to suddenly lose 30% of ticket sales because you're kicking out people that are whistling. That's a nonsense argument, mate.
I disagree.
You can still have a party atmosphere without people shrieking and whistling to try and affect a result because they've had a £5 bet in the lobby.
I don't think it's even because of a bet. They just want their favourite to win. The same as at football.
No, I think a lot of it is betting related.
No, I don't. Because when Price gets booed, they all haven't had a bet.
Price gets booed on the walk-on now. He doesn't get it anywhere else.
No, he has a couple of times this year.
Price is a pantomime because it's a learned behaviour. The same way that whistling is becoming a learned behaviour in that environment because they've done nothing to stamp it out.
Glasgow, he got it massively. There was another one he got it bad as well. Can't remember which one it was. But I don't think it's
Glasgow. Played Littler. Come on, man.
No, it's interesting that I don't think it will change, and I don't think they will ever force the issue to try and change it either. I genuinely don't.
I think they will eventually get to a tipping point where all of this falls down and they'll look back at what they could and should have done, and getting rid of whistlers is one of those things.
I'm not sure. I genuinely not. I don't think it will ever change. But back to the Euro Tour. Obviously, Luke Humphries, we've spoken about the run he's gone on. Jar mentioned the averages earlier. There are some concerns though. Ratajski, again, not picking up the form that we thought he was turned the corner last year.
I think he's just found a level now, hasn't he? When he first came over, he made quite a big impact. He was absolutely flying. Let's not forget, he's not the youngest person in the world either.
No.
How old is he now?
47.
47 years of age. He's been doing this a fair while. He's got quite a... He was never a big scorer because of the way that his darts lie anyway. And he gets a fair few deflections. I think a change in equipment might be the way to go for Christoph if he wants one more shot at the very, very big time. I still think he'll make enough to earn a living for the next couple of years, be comfortable somewhere around the 30s in the world.
Yeah. Obviously, on those Euro tours, Luke, a lot of people asking why Littler wasn't there. Obviously, at the start of the year, Luke didn't have any ranking money. So the first 4 Euro tours he had to qualify for. He qualified for 1 and 4, misses 2 and 3, but is now seeded. So he'll be at 5, 6, 7, and 8 definitely. And obviously, the fact he's playing in those events, the likelihood is he's going to be in the rest of them for the rest of the year.
Yes.
Currently seeded 14 on the Pro Tour Order of Merit. So that was that. But a busy month for Euro. Was it 4 Euro tours in a row coming up? Got a Pro Tour Monday, Tuesday. Then is it 4 Euro tours on the spin?
Something like that. Let me have a look at my calendar. Pro Tours Monday, Tuesday. Then we're in Riesa, then Sindelfingen, then Graz, then a week off, then Kiel, then a week off, then Rosmalen in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And then we get the World Series.
Yeah. So plenty of Euro Tour action coming your way. I know, friend of the show, and he'll probably watch this back if he's not watching live, but I thought Mace was outstanding on comms and the punditry work on the Euro Tour.
Solid addition to the PDC team. Surprised it's taken that long.
Yeah. I'll tell you what is interesting. Look, Dan is one of the best darts broadcasters in the world, but his style from when he's on the Euro Tour and when he's on Sky is very, very different.
Yeah, but I like that. I think that's what makes Dan the best in the world. The fact that he can change it up so fluently between being a pundit on Sky to then hosting on the wire in the fan zone and prattling around with people. And then he's hosting and doing the intro to the Euro Tour. And then he'll go and commentate with one person. Then he'll go and do the interviews on ITV. Like, the fact it's taken so long for the big ones, for ITV and Sky, to pick up and use Dan Dawson as frequently as they are right now. And let's be honest, I still think ITV are massively underusing him.
I think that may change.
It better do. Yeah, like, I cannot laud the man with any more.
Don't get me wrong.
Like, he is just very, very good. He lives and breathes it. His knowledge is fantastic. He knows when he can get away with being cheeky and pushing the line a little bit and what he can do, but actually he'll follow that with some insight that you would never even dreamed of knowing.
He can, but there were a couple that I thought were close to the bone this week in terms of if players hear them, the comments. One player in particular that wasn't there would cop the ump.
Get over it. They're paid to give an opinion.
It wasn't an opinion. It was the way he said something.
I don't know what you're going on about.
So it was the bit about Gary Anderson. Mark Wilson said, Gary, they were talking about Luke Woodhouse coming in that day. And it was like Gary's pulled out with a shoulder injury. And the way Dan said, "So we are told," sounded very suspect that he didn't believe Gary was injured. It just didn't sound good. Do you know what I mean? It may not have meant it, but the way it come across didn't sound great. He did like as if he didn't believe Gary was injured and just couldn't be asked.
I mean, of all the players to throw that sort of shade at, Gary's got history for it. So, yeah, look, is it a great look for the broadcaster? Probably not. Is it the player that actually has got history and you could probably give it to? Yeah.
If we hadn't seen him physically,
especially in this tournament as well, if it was the Grand Slam and he's saying that, something to be said. If it's a Euro Tour where Gary's notoriously had issues with, look, we know he's injured. He gave us the exclusive to say he's putting out because he's injured. But I don't think he's going to take that much offence to it.
But we've also seen Gary attack pundits very publicly. If you notice, Rod Harrington didn't work on Sky after Gary attacked him.
Good. Then we'll have a story to sell in a week or so when we finally get to speak to Gary again. And he goes, "Yeah, Dan Dawson might believe I was injured now." But don't worry. The dish rag of a red top might report on absolute nonsense like they've done for the last couple of weeks. Anyway, Luke Humphries spat of a Twitter troll and Littler being on a podcast that said the word "fuck." Yeah, because that's national news.
Look, that's what happens when entertainment parts of newspapers get involved in sport.
Yeah. You call it a newspaper, I call it something else.
It's factually, it is a newspaper.
Mm. If that's a newspaper, you're a journalist.
Some people have said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the Euro Tour. But no, it's good to have the Euro Tour back as well. From there, let's go up to the northeast. ADC, first tour events of the year, and from what we saw, what was posted on social, a roaring success.
Yeah, I thought their coverage was really, really good over the weekend. We saw a good mix of the men's and women's events. The venue looks fantastic. Those board signs are brilliant, nice and clear in between. I mean, look, the fact they can make a sports hall look that good is solid from them. The big checks are back. Good to see those in action as well. But yeah, I thought it was a really well-balanced weekend, covered pretty well on socials, attended pretty well in both the men's and the women's. I don't know what more to say about it, to be honest.
Yeah, look, some big names there as well. Shame that, Rob, I think the live stream will come. Look, I think it's baby steps. I think we will. I don't know if this year, but certainly I think next year the aim would probably be to get a live streaming lane.
The issues with a live streaming lane is, one, the cost, because what you'll then do is tune into a live stream and go, well, this is crap, it's unwatchable. Why is there no commentary? Why is the lighting like this? Why is it like that? Two, the entire tournament system relies on internet. If you're then taking that away to stream one board, you're putting the rest of the tournament at a detrimental risk.
You could do one stream board at an event on a very limited setup, but very similar to the setup that we had at Southampton to start with.
I think that's more advanced than what you'd get here. You get a couple of webcams like getting the JDC, which, yeah, right, it gives you something, but it's a floor event. You want to see it, go see it.
No, I think a streaming board would add a lot to it. I genuinely do. If there was a streaming lane, I think it adds a dynamic to the tournament.
It adds it, but I'm not sure it's essential. Like, it's a floor event in an organisation that's still relatively new, and produce social coverage the way it did with live darts results. Like, I get if you needed a streaming board so that people could give you updates on scores and results, like at a WDF event where they're handing in results to the desk because it's 2024 and they haven't discovered the internet yet. If they weren't using Atlas, Darts Atlas or Dart Connect or something similar along those lines, then yeah, I'd get it. But actually, they are. You can watch along for most of it. We do it for watch along, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I just a personal thing. I think I'd like to see a stream, and I think it could be done on a very. I think it would cost. You could get a decent enough stream for, in terms of what it costs to set it up, for about £1,500, I reckon.
That's the prize fund for one event in the men's and the women's.
Yeah, but if you've got a streaming board, you can then sell sponsorship because it's streamed.
They've got sponsors. for the year.
but
Next
you can
year,
make-
potentially, yeah.
That's
But
what I mean.
for
I'm
this
not saying this,
Surely all their
next-
sponsorship is sold out. Yeah.
but you can sell bigger sponsorship if you've got a stream board, 100%, and then that ups the prize money.
Long term,
And
just don't expect it in 2024.
I
Not for
said
these
that.
sort of events. Yeah.
I said that next that's the progression for next year. But on the Saturday, events number 1 was won by Fallon Sherrick and Andy Bolton. And then the second event on the Saturday was won by Bradley Brooks and Vicky Pruin. Established names taking the titles.
It's good to see Vicky Pruin getting some rewards. She's been playing some very good darts of late. Obviously, has run into the bigger names in the women's darts in the women's series. The last couple of events, Fallon's pretty much mopped those up. She started pretty brightly, but seemed to drop off for the rest of the weekend. Long weekend, though, 4 events. Still early in the season for that. You want to be peaking a little bit later if you're her. I think her focus will be on the next women's series block, securing that trip to the match play, which I think is already there. But if she can get that number 1 seed wrapped up, given news that dropped today as well, she'd certainly be going after that. In the men's events, good to see Bradley Brooks back winning. Andy Bolton is a class outfit. We've seen that plenty of times at the Super Series. He's rocked up on one seniors events without at the drop of the hat. Like, if anything, Andy Bolton is one of those players who is far too good to not have a tour card, but doesn't do enough with it when he gets a tour card for me. He's always going to be there or thereabouts if he's chasing those events, especially if it's that far up north. He's in Scotland. It's quite a relatively short journey for him compared to what others can be. Bradley Brooks, though, saw him at the Super Series. I did his first appearance this year as a ref. He admitted he got his preparation wrong on day 1, looked a little bit better on day 2. I think as the year goes on, he gets more used to just being in this environment again, playing darts away from the PDC, that we'll see the best of Bradley Brooks again.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And then on the Sunday, it was a double for Gary Stone in the men's event. And the 2 women's titles were picked up by Angela Kirkwood and Dieter Hedman, picking up the second event with the jumbo checks.
Gary Stone is quality. The problem with Gary Stone is that we're yet to see that anywhere else. He's not quite produced his best at the Super Series. He walked into the WF as one of the favourites from not so much as bookies, etc., but from people in darts going, he's playing well, he's quality, he's this, that, and the other. Something has to click for Gary Stone pretty soon, because if not, it's never going to.
Yeah.
And this might be the springboard on the platform to do that via the ADC. In the women's, Kirkwood is one who's been pretty consistent. We don't tend to mention her name within that conversation when we're looking at top 8 and top 16 challenges, but actually she is pretty consistent when we've seen her on the PDC Women's Series. Looked solid here all weekend as well, was consistently going deep. And Dieter Hedman gets reward as well. Look, we know how class Dieter Hedman is. Beat Fallon along the way a couple of times over the weekend, I think it was. There's still a worry for me that perhaps Dieter's best days are behind her, just as the sport is starting to really reward those at the top of the ladies' game, which will be a shame for Dieter, given everything that she's done and given to the sport. But as long as she's still picking up rewards here, there, happy that she's getting some sort of recognition.
Yeah, no, agreed. On the ADC, Rob, this one there, I can tell you exactly why that was. That in the year 1, they brought in a proper production company to do it. Cost an absolute fuck ton of money, which they didn't have at the time. And don't get me wrong, it looked amazing, but it was like proper full-blown production team they brought in to do it. Which cost them
the same. For the very first World Championship qualifiers, you do it to make a splash, you get eyes on the product. Yeah. And if it doesn't quite materialise as a financial reward in that little situation, not as a whole ecosphere, but in that very small situation, then you scale it back. But you get eyes on your product at the very first attempt.
Yeah. Bob, look, whether it's right or it's wrong, that that's genuinely the way it is in the world, that the women's prize money is less than the men's. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but genuinely, it's what is commercially viable, as in what is bought in. That the ADC and the WADC, they are under the same umbrella, but they're two separate things. So it's commercially what one's bringing into the other, I would guess.
Plus entries.
Yeah.
If the men are getting 250 entries and the women are getting 100 entries, then
generating more money.
Money's coming from.
What have I missed then? Sorry about that, everyone.
No, that's all right.
Daddy duties.
Matador, on this one, I think the massive plus point the ADC have got over the WDF, especially in the UK at the moment, is they're using technology that these events can be covered properly and tracked. That there aren't enough for me. We would cover more WDF events in terms of giving it coverage if it was digitalized, that we could get results and find out what people are doing. But you can't with a lot of WDF events where the ADC stuff is all on Darts Atlas. You can see it all.
I mean, the biggest issue, Phil, is the fact that when you look at the UK Open qualifiers, look at them. They're miles behind everything. You couldn't. I don't even know where you could find the results for that. Absolutely ridiculous.
Exactly. So that's one massive plus point that the ADC are doing right there, embracing technology so people can track events and know what's going on.
Well, yeah. Whereas again, you look at the UK Open qualifiers. What were they on? It looked like the results would look like they were on some sort of Windows Vista. Let's say Windows Vista 95 or some shit like that, and we were complaining quite rightly about that. Ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I genuinely think the ADC are one tournament away from being absolutely there in the amateur game.
I know you talked about this.
They need them products.
I know you talked about this before about the ADC with the UK Open qualifiers. Like, I don't believe that the UK Open qualifiers should be through the ADC system, right? I don't believe that. However, do I think that UK Open qualifiers could be ran as part of ADC events and could be open events that people go and win? Absolutely. I think there is room for both there on that front. And I think that they should be taken away from Riley's because the facilities are crap. We are playing, like I say, on the 1980s. And I think that playing them in an ADC standard would not only make it easier to follow, obviously with Darts Atlas, but would also encourage more people, I think, to turn up to them.
Johnny, I've not used Dart Atlas as a scoring system, like you guys were there, but this weekend was the first time I'd used Dart Atlas to track a tournament. And okay, what is it as good as Dart Connect? No, but I found it still very easy to use, navigate, and get all the information from a fan point of view.
It gives you a bit more before you click into a game, which I quite like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard that it can be tricky.
Yeah, as I say, from a scoring point of view, I don't know, but from a fan, I found it good to navigate and get all the information. Is the thing. But yeah, good signs for the ADC tour roundup. Next one is in May, I think, off the top of my head. I'm sure it's May, the next one. So all good there. And then, right, moving on, let's come to the Premier League. So we are off to Manchester. It's not the ME anymore. What's it called now?
The AO Arena.
AO.
For the last time, I think, we'll be at the AO Arena. think it will not. I am having very good money on the fact that will not be the place that we play Manchester Premier League darts next year.
They've just built another arena, haven't they?
They've just built the biggest
arena at the Etihad,
biggest arena in the country. Yeah, at the Etihad. They've just built the biggest arena in the country.
I still think that the Premier League will be at the AO Arena next year.
Do you think, or do you know that?
I think.
I mean, I think that they could easily sell the Co-op Live out. I really do.
Is that what it's called?
So, it's called the Co-op Live. Yes.
Brilliant. Mind you,
yeah, I think they could sell that out.
The Etihad's quite a bit out the city, though, isn't it? Is the only issue.
It is a bit out the city, but I do think that there are better transport links to get you to the Etihad than there are anywhere around the rest of the city. I mean, the AO is a very big arena. Let's not get that. I mean, it will always be the MEN. Let's not have it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the same way. Like whatever the one at the Birmingham Arena is going to be. It's not. Yeah, whatever it is. No, it's always the NIA. It will always be the National Indoor Arena.
I remember it as the Barclaycard Centre.
Gladiators, mate. National Indoor Arena here in Birmingham.
So, quarterfinal lineup is Aspinall against Cross, Littler against Van Gerwen, Smith Humphries, Price against Wright. And look, time's running out, as we discussed earlier. It's a huge night for some of these players.
Massive.
Not yet. I don't think so yet. I think they've got a couple of chances to put a big run together.
Well, I think whenever you get to the latter stages of the Premier League, or when you get past halfway, then it's always a massive night. 100% a massive night. Because if you lose the first round quarter-final, that could be 10 points off the playoffs. Could be.
Not yet.
Yeah, I think.
I agree, Jamie. I agree with that. Liverpool always needs the Echo Arena.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. I think for Price and Cross, it's a massive night.
Agreed. Wright's already out of this, as we know. But Cross and Cross and Price have to at least
lose in the quarterfinals.
Correct.
I think it's too early for panic stations for Rob Cross. Price needs to get closer. Yes, probably before next week. If he loses first round here, he has to go at least to the final in Birmingham. I think Cross you'll give until the end of Sheffield. Cross and Price play each other in Sheffield. If not Liverpool, where he's then got to go get a result.
You mean Rotterdam?
I disagree because Cross plays Aspinall this week. If Aspinall wins, then all of a sudden, Rob Cross is 7 points behind fourth.
More than likely win, you're in big trouble.
That's why I think it's a massive night for Cross. Because of who he's playing.
I still think he's got enough time at the moment. So I think that question comes a few weeks later.
You always play it.
Well, no, look, 7 points is a gap, granted, but I still think, like I just said 4 times, he's got until at least Liverpool. That's where I'm looking at it.
I go back to Ryan said at the match play jar. Too cautious.
It's got nothing to do with that. Like, he's got time. We're 1 week into the second half of the season.
I get Golf's point, but I also think that you're being extremely naive if you don't think that Rob Cross and Gerwen Price are not in huge dangers if they lose in the quarterfinals this week. If Gezi loses the quarterfinals this week, if Gezi loses the quarterfinals this week,
he's in trouble because he can't buy a double and he's in his own head. I think Rob Cross is playing well enough to go and win enough.
Yeah, but if Gezi loses in the quarterfinals this week, 2 multiplied by 10 plus 1 for me.
Okay. Well, Romeo done.
We'll just sack off the next 6 nights because it's already decided.
No, I don't think it's already decided. I think that Michael Smith is right in there still. I think that one space is already pretty much guaranteed. Two of them are 90% there, and everybody else is chasing the one remaining spot as things stand. That's what I was saying before the baby decided that she wants to be sick everywhere in the house.
Right, let's go into it then. Let's get some predictions in. First of all, Aspinall against Cross. Game number 1 in Manchester.
I predicted earlier on today. No predicted an Aspinall win. Yeah. Aspinall wins this one 6-4. He's at the better of him every time they've met in the Premier League this season. And Nathan Aspinall, as we know, just doesn't know how to lose darts matches in the quarterfinals of the Premier League. And I think this is a massive win for him to put his name firmly further in the top 4 race. Aspinall wins this 6-4.
Gob?
Rob Cross 6-5.
Aspinall 6-4 for me. As well, being the home boy as well, I think Cross could get a bit of stick as well.
Agreed.
I think Aspinall will play it kind of cool. I think he may do a half and half walk-on song, something very Manchester-based.
I'd say he can't play Stone Roses because all City fans will be fuming.
I think I think he'll have something from the Blossoms to start with into Mr. Brightside.
Yes, I love Blossom. Great band. To be fair, most United fans won't be there anywhere on Thursday because they'll all be either watching the game or at Stamford Bridge.
That's
they all live in London anyway.
You're so funny. Why are you so funny?
Littler against Van Gerwen.
Luke 4, Van Gerwen 6. Wins just his second game in 7 Premier League matches.
Same scoreline, different way around. Littler wins 6-4.
Also, if Michael doesn't win this, he's prepared to say he's in trouble because that'd be 1 win in 7.
No, because he's got 3 nightly wins under his belt, which is the first decider if it gets tight.
It's not about getting tight. He's won 1 in 7.
Yeah, but he
won't get tight if he stays in that form. It'll be fucking dropping like a stone, mate.
But again, he's got points on the board. And if Cross loses, he's still over a nightly win behind Catching.
I always think that it's nicer to be in the position of wanting to be caught than to be in the chasing pack.
Always points on the board rather than chasing. Always.
7 weeks is a long time, boys.
No, I know, but right now, I wouldn't say that he would be in big trouble unless
if he loses, he's won 1 in 7. That's trouble for him, surely.
Yeah, but
not when any other player in any other sport anywhere else, you're going there in a world of trouble.
Not when you've got points on the board, though. If he was outside, if he's outside the top 4 in that form, I'm completely with you. But the others beneath him aren't in that kind of form where I think they can go on a run and produce the performances to make up that points gap.
If Rob Cross or Michael Smith or Gerwyn Price or someone like that win the night on Manchester and MVG loses quarterfinals, yeah, I agree, he's in big trouble. But
right now,
until then,
they're 2 finals away. You're looking at it massively wrong for me.
No, I don't disagree. I think looking at it, that right now, I don't see Wright and Cross winning a night. I genuinely don't.
Don't have to win a night. Like I just said, they're 2 finals away from Michael Van Gerwen right now. Don't have to win a night. They have to win 4 games.
I don't see that happening.
You don't see a single night where they win 2 games in a row.
Right. So, Manchester, no. Birmingham, no. No.
Especially when they're playing each other potentially in a semi-final.
Sheffield.
That's what I mean. One of them's in the if they're both win opening rounds and they're in a semi-final, one of them is making a final. One of them is half the deficit to Van Gerwen.
Right, Manchester. No, I don't see either of them doing it. Birmingham.
I don't see.
Birmingham, Wright plays Humphries, Cross plays Littler. Sheffield, Cross plays Price.
Rotterdam, not Sheffield.
Sorry, Sheffield, potentially, but then he runs into potentially Smith or Littler. No. Wright plays Aspinall in Sheffield. He may beat Aspinall, but I don't see him beating Van Gerwen or Humphries. Liverpool.
Van Gerwen would have won 1 in 7 in the context that we're talking in.
Yeah, but he's got the points on the board, Gob. That I don't see them catching him points-wise is the thing. I agree, he's not in great form, but he's got points in the bank to play with.
But what I'm saying, you're basically saying 1 in 7, if he loses this week, is not an issue.
Oh, form-wise,
because he's 2 finals away over 7 weeks.
You
did. You said, "Are you concerned about him?" And you went, "No."
No, you said in terms of the top 4. You said it. Are you concerned about his top 4?
If he loses, he's won 1 in 7. And you're going, "Oh yeah, he's still absolutely fine."
I think he is for the top 4. Form-wise, am I
clear of Michael Smith?
Who's
playing better than Nathan Aspinall?
Form-wise, would I be concerned?
Just like old times.
But not in terms of the rest, because I don't think they're playing well enough.
They're winning more than he is. Everybody's winning more than he is.
Well, they haven't, though, have they? Because they didn't win 3
Gerwen Price is the one that isn't. Even Peter Wright has won more in the last 5 weeks than Van Gerwen has in the Premier League.
Yeah, but he's got he's got points on the he's got points in the bank.
You know, but contextually, you're saying, "Oh yeah, they're in poor form."
No, it's not that though. They're not saying they're in poor form. They're saying that right now, over 10 weeks, they've done fuck all. To put it bluntly,
disagree.
Clearly, because if they haven't, because Cross and Gezi can't buy a nightly win and barely can buy wins in the quarterfinals. Smith is still in all sorts of in a chance of that.
Smith is in the mix. I fully agree.
Yeah,
but Cross has less first rounders than Van Gerwen has right now. Like that can flick any moment.
Yeah, but Cross has won no nights.
Yeah,
that's why Cross. Yeah. That's why Van Gerwen's on 17.
But we're basically saying Peter Wright can't win one, Gerwen Price in no form to win one, and now we're saying Michael Van Gerwen has a potentially 1 in 7, and you're going, "Oh yeah, but Rob Cross is absolutely no way he can put a run together where he beats a Smith and Aspinall or a Humphries." Well, that's what Phil's just said because he's saying he can't win a night.
I don't think he's not genuinely sitting here now.
If he wanted to do 1 of the 3 in no form,
I don't think
he's a third of the way there.
Tonight.
Phil, pick the game result, please. Children.
Littler 6-5.
Right. Third game on. What is it?
It is Smith against Humphries.
I've got Humphries winning this one 6-3. Pretty comfortably.
6-5 Humphries.
6-3 Humphries.
I promise you we have not spoken about our picks.
No.
By the way.
Yeah. Paul knows this is what it's all about. The band's back together.
It's just like old times.
And then Price against Wright to end up.
Price 6-2.
Price 6-5.
Price 6-3. So from your selections, finalists and your winner.
Finalists will be Nathan Aspinall against Luke Humphries, and Asp wins. Cos Manchester.
Humphries beats Rob Cross.
Humphries beats Littler. I think. What are you saying, chat room? Who wins night 10 in Manchester? Let us know in the comments. Also, just going back to the ADC, because it links into something else that came out today. Obviously, Bo didn't end up playing in Middlesbrough and then has pulled out of the home internationals as well. So, replacement in the England side.
Yeah, replaced by Steph Clark. Well deserved for her.
Yeah.
Post on social media is that Bo's taking a rest and will be back in her own time. So, best wishes. Hopefully, we see her at the next Women's Series event. That race for the top at the match play is pretty tight. Been an enjoyable battle. So, yeah.
I think it's a good thing for Bo to take a bit of a break at the minute because we saw the way that Fallon was in the last Women's Series and how much. I mean, she won 2 titles, beating Bo in the final both occasions. And obviously, it's just very, very important for Bo to get back to the best that she was, particularly last year. It's so important for the women's game.
It's one of them, isn't it? She's taking some time out, so time will tell when she returns. Next Women's Series is it end of April, I think?
Have a quick look on the tournament calendar. Yeah, 20th and 21st of April at the wonderful Robin Park Tennis Centre in Wigan. Hopefully they put the heating on this time.
Back to Wigan.
As I say, hopefully they put the heating on.
Won't need it by then.
Yeah, be summer by then. Gazzy will be all right. From there, Super Series, Andreas Harrison does it again. Dirty Harry into another Champions Week.
Absolutely relentless. Ridiculous week. But he is
The
relentless.
standard is incredible.
Yeah. Again, he's a bit like Gary Stone for me. We said that about Gary Stone performing on the ADC and yet to see it anywhere else. Harrison we see it at the Super Series and we're yet to see it anywhere else. He is without doubt one of the top players of our tour card in the world. But he doesn't deliver when he picks up goes to PDC events on the Euro Tour through the Nordic and Baltic, and he bombed at Q School. Absolutely bombed at Q School. And you're like, hang about, what's going off here? He's one that has got to deliver elsewhere.
Q School he bombed, but he did all right at one of the Euro Tours this year. Was it ET1? He played all right?
Well, there's only been 2 and he didn't play at the weekend.
So, yeah, didn't he average 107 against Gary?
Where was it? Trier. No.
Wherever ET1 was. Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium.
Yeah,
He did it against Van Veen, but then he got beat by Gary Anderson.
6-5, was it?
6-5 to Gary, yeah.
Yeah.
Beat Van Veen 6-1.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, Q School was a massive disappointment because the form he was in, he should have done an awful lot better.
Okay.
But at the Super Series, just incredible. The whole week was superb. One of the best weeks I think I've ever seen at the Super Series.
Standard-wise, this week isn't too far behind it right now either. All right, we had the 9 data from Jared. We've had record average, 117 averages, and God knows else what last week. But some standard this week. The record number of 180s in a game broken today. Just flying at the moment. And the weeks that have come for the last couple of weeks, the lineups, and those that are in store actually for the next couple of weeks as well, looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the fact that the caliber of player has gone up massively that's available to play in the Super Series has helped as well. Combined with the ADC qualifiers getting better, the standard is just superb.
Yeah.
An interesting one, obviously, Tom Sykes played with some new equipment, but seemed to change back today and was back to his best. That not always good to change darts straight away.
I'll be honest, as far as I'm aware, his first darts were custom made, which meant the ones that his manufacturer producing for him are going to be virtual copies for that. So maybe it's just the fact they're not worn in yet. But as far as I know, there wasn't going to be any difference between them whatsoever.
The ones he played with had a massively longer point in yesterday.
Right.
He played with a long point one because Nico said the balance of them was completely off.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was any other massive changes, but certainly yesterday he played with a long point in them, and they weren't balanced.
Yeah.
And went back to the old ones today, and we saw his post on social average. What was it, 91 for the day?
Over 90 in every game and won 2 matches.
Yeah. Bob says, when's the CDC? The cross-border is later this month. Darts from the across the pond is back. Whilst we're on the subject of announcements, something like that, the PDC announced the lineup for Poland, and that we shouldn't be surprised, but it's another night of the Premier League.
Yeah, finals night now happening in Poland, is it? It's just ridiculously stupid. I get it. You need to take the biggest stars in order to take it, but like in order to try and spread the gospel, that's what the World Series is there for. But God, it's just so dull. And I don't like. The PDC clearly know what they're doing because darts is just booming right now, and I'm not trying to tell them what to do commercially, but Jesus, another week of that. Week just before the World Cup as well. Like, put some of the players in there because they're not going to be travelling in there, is it? World Cup's not far away.
I don't understand what the World Series is about anymore.
Well, the World Series is supposed to be spreading the gospel, but that's what the World Series is for. And to make the PDC a bit of money, even though it doesn't make that much money, actually.
But let's be honest, some of those have been in territories where there's been no growth or nothing's changed for a decade. Right, we've had a couple of tour card holders produced from Australia, and I get the trip down under, but actually we've just adjusted a little bit for that. But like, it just doesn't make any sense to me because you've got players on the cusp of Premier League positions that the World Series is the perfect time to give them a run out for. You've made the finals a ranking event. You want it more stacked with your own players rather than qualifiers and people of lower quality coming into your finals. If that's the route they're going down at the moment. So why are you not giving these guys a leg up by giving them ranking points by going to these events? Players that are commercially viable, that we've seen in the Premier League in the last few years, that have won majors, that are going to get that sort of result. Because actually, if they plan it at the start of the year, they can offer every single nation, area, whatever, that hosts a World Series, a certain number of Premier League players. They can cap it at 5 for every event. They rotate it around nicely. You can make sure that Van Gerwen's at X amount, and when Van Gerwen's missing, you've always got Littler and Humphries or whatever, right? So it's only ever one of the big 3 or however you want to justify it, but there's only X number of certain players missing at any one time. That should be enough for every single nation, every single broadcast to go, yeah, we're happy with this, whilst we get some other names, some other stories. Because what you also get with that, if you get a Dobie or a Clayton or a Cullen or whoever else in there, players that are there trying to prove something, are they going to go give a solid... The Premier League boys are scrap going, actually, you're in my spot, I want it. But also, they're there for the taking from the home nation players.
On a side note, by the way, is the World Series of Darts Finals ranked now?
No.
Thank God.
Oh, I thought it was.
Jesus Christ.
No, it's not. It's not ranked. But we all know how the World Series works. Whether we like it or not, when Fallon did what she did, originally it was only going to be New York. And then every broadcaster in the world said, we want her in. And they basically, the broadcasters almost dictate, and the local promoter, who goes in.
But on a side note, though,
but that's
the
Littler
PDC
now.
have the final.
Not that Premier League 8.
No, the PDC also do have the final say, and I'm not being funny, but we have 2 TV winners this year that are, well, one of them's obviously in the is in the next one in Copenhagen because Littler can't be asked to. Well, sorry, isn't playing. Sorry, excuse me. I'll take that away. That Littler isn't playing, but you've then got Stephen Bunting, who won the Masters and hasn't had a look in, and he's been playing some excellent stuff. So and there's also the social media following that man has right now is up there with probably the best of any single one of them, any darts player right now. Bunting has absolutely cracked TikTok, and he's got fans all over the gaff.
There is absolutely no promoter or broadcaster phoning up Barry Hearn or Matt Porter, kicking and screaming because they've got Chris Dobie instead of Nathan Aspinall.
And also, there's no, or Stephen Bunting instead of Peter Wright.
Yeah.
Currently, right now.
And they're just examples. They're not digging anybody out.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah,
Absolutely.
But
That level of players right now are interchangeable for me.
Look, I don't like the lineup, but I get it, and
I don't.
I get it, and I think Matt said it in one of our interviews that these events aren't about us, as in the UK fans.
No, but at the same time, no people in Poland are going to give away their certainly give away their tickets because they've got Chris Dobie, like you say, Chris Dobie instead of Peter Wright, or Stephen Bunting instead of Gezi Price. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll sell out. It's like the same with the Premier League discussion every single year. The Premier League this year sold out nights all over the gaff, well before Littler was even included in the lineup. Darts is on the up and absolutely sparkled at the minute in terms of popularity. As long as you get a couple of handful of big names in the players, the fans are going to start flocking. They're going to continue to flock. Just because
also puts your players in the best position to perform year round. It puts them in every event. You want them in the floor events.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. They've upped the prize money and they've done that. They should be helping the players to manage their schedules by going, right, we'll give you 4 out of 6 World Series events because you're in this position, or the top 4 do X, Y, Z. You can pick which 1 or 2 you want off as long as they don't all clash at the same time, and all of that sort of stuff at the same time. Because let's be honest, why have they gone Pro Tours midweek?
Because they want to put more Euro Tours in.
Because they're streamed and the bookmakers don't want to compete with football on a Saturday and Sunday, which means you need the big names to draw people to bet on them.
Yeah.
You still need these guys at the Pro Tour. And if you're sending them to 8 World Series events, every single Premier League, you've put them in every single Euro Tour through the rankings and God knows else what, they're not going to be at that floor event that you've just changed to make sure they're there because somebody's paying for you to beat them to be there.
And I'm not being funny, next year as well, more than likely, especially because of the lesser number of Euro Tours, certainly across Europe in terms of Gibraltar going, other places going, I can absolutely see that the PDC are going to expand the Euro Tour. So if we're expanding the Euro Tour alongside all of these players playing in the World Series, they're going to be burnt out. And again, on your floor events, the ones that you say are the big bread and butter, they were not going to be there. It just doesn't add up.
If you ask the players, the big names, would you rather go to a Pro Tour or a World Series? What are they going to pick?
Well, of course they're going to pick that because the money's bigger because of the broadcast deals that are
This is
involved.
what I mean. They get their appearance fee plus the prize money.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, Phil, like for the darts fan, people aren't going to, like I say, people aren't going to are just not going to turn up to Madison or to the Madison Square Garden because as I say, because one of the Premier League 8 isn't there.
I don't know. I'm with you. I don't like it, but I understand why they do it because it's not about us here.
No, I know, but it makes the place a closed shop. Like, how can you get that experience of playing on a mini Premier League stage if you're not given the opportunity? That's my point. Like, how can Johnny Clayton, Joe Cullen, Stephen Bunting, Ryan Searle, Chris Dobie, all of those players, bar obviously winning a televised title,
nothing for winning the Euros.
Absolutely, Ross Smith. How are they ever going to be able to prove to people? Danny Noppert.
Don't get a call up for the Netherlands. That's it.
Absolutely. How are they going to prove to the people that's going to be available to play on a Premier League stage if they're not given an opportunity to shine on a World Series stage? Appreciate they can win more televised titles. I get that, but they are very bloody difficult to win.
It's all right though because we've got Dimmy for one weekend.
We did Den Bosch as well. How are we doing, Anthony? Hope you are good, my friend. It'll be interesting to see who does Australia.
We all know one person who won't be.
My gut is they'll cop out and Damon Heta will just be an instant pick and they'll put an extra qualifier in.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Do we think, though, that there's going to be more changes as well to lineups?
Possibly. I don't know.
I think there's a couple coming. I think there's some because I think the players will be either too burnt out from the Premier League, or they might have other commitments. That I think that there's going to be more changes coming. Personally,
I've spoken. Gazzy said he's going to Australia. Luke has to go as world champion and world number one.
He doesn't have to.
He does.
The broadcaster might want him to, but he doesn't have to.
That's
If
world
he
champion.
continues, mate, I tell you now, if he continues on this way, he's going on the same level as Michael and Gezi, and Gary. They can pick and choose what they like. He's going to get there to that level.
He's not there yet. He has to, as world champion and world number one. Humphries has to go.
It would be a bad look if he didn't, but he doesn't have to.
He's not been there before, has he? It's a good experience.
No, yeah, it's a new experience. Yeah.
This is still Luke's very first Premier League campaign. Let's not forget that. He is still incredibly new to being at the top table in this regard, right? Let's not write that away from him. He's going to travel, he's going to go and enjoy it, and he's going to take in the world. The guys that have done it for 10 to 15 years now, that have been on the World Series over and over again and whatever, like, what are they getting from it anymore?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
The travel, the hassle, and burnout when they want to go compete for majors and rack up their trophy cabinet to end their career.
I was just going to say, after the World Match Play, don't be too surprised if 3 or 4 of the Premier League players pull out when they go to Australia, if they get selected. Especially after a match play when they've been on it for 6 months, they've got August basically to either go and do expos or just chill the out heading into the busiest period of the year. If they're already in the World Series of Darts finals, they will pull out of Australia, 100%.
It'll be decided before then because you have to sort your visas and that out. So it will be decided.
Hang on though, Phil.
What's that?
Hang on though, Phil. James Wade managed to get a visa pretty quickly in Las Vegas when Phil Taylor decided to pull out in 2017.
Yeah, hence it was probably predetermined.
It wasn't though, was it? It was just the last minute pull out because of a back problem.
Was it Puck?
3 weeks before the match play, suddenly all of a sudden he pulls out because of a back problem, and yet he averages best part of 106 against Gezi in round 1. Yeah, all right, Phil.
Yeah, we all know it wasn't.
We all know.
We all know how this works.
Right.
Should we open up question time then? Well, we open up question time. Have we missed anything in a week of darts?
Not in a week of darts, Phil, but what have we decided last night while we were discussing things?
Oh, what?
On a different
Mania?
sport. Yeah.
What's that?
What
Mania
about on a
weekend?
different sport? Big weekend.
Raw was immense last night.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Cody Rhodes, the pop for Rhodes was absolutely insane. Sorry, Gob, I know you don't. I know you're not the biggest fan of watching men wrestling types, but it's good.
Sorry, are you talking? Hello.
I
must have tuned out.
The Target mini launch. I only saw it on socials. There was a set of darts that Dobie will never use.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that means he's big time now because he's getting 80% branded darts out of his name.
The new K-Flex, different size, wasn't there?
Yeah, basically big wing. So they Target call their flights NO2 and NO6. NO2 are basically big wing.
Right, okay. I was directing today, so I saw
large size. The NO2 are the smaller ones.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Adam. I think the tag title is going to get split because Michael Cole made a really important point on commentary last night. And he said that both sets of titles have to be pulled down from the ladder. That is one way of splitting the titles. But yes, yeah. I think Chris cashes in on Drew when he wins and beats Seth. And I think that Clash at the Castle in Scotland, which is going to be mint, I think will be the moment where Drew finally becomes champion.
Enjoying this, Gob?
I mean, Katie's playing Animal Crossing on the Switch. I might go watch that for 10 minutes if you're going to chat about grown men. It's far more grown up.
It's not those Sport of Kings. Sport of Kings, this, mate.
Yeah. It's great.
They don't even speak. They just me. That's all I've heard for 2 hours, but it's far better conversation.
Get involved, Gob. You're normally up at that time anyway. Get involved with the live stream that we're doing.
No.
Right, so yeah, get your questions in, everyone. Do you know back to the K-Flex in general, but pretty much every manufacturer now has a version of the molded flight and stem, don't they?
Yep.
That was always what set Condor, L Style, and that apart because they were the only ones. Where now
L
it's just
Style's still a 2-piece.
it's still the molded set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now that everyone has a version of it,
which means they've got to do something else. They've got to do something else with their marketing. They've got to do something else with their designs. They've got to get more radical. At the minute, those that are just coming new into the market are going with solid, bold colours. The players don't really have anything branded on those at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised to see Littler as the first to have his own custom K-Flex, which Condor have already started to do. You're looking at Jose de Souza specifically designed ones, and that's on the solid flights as well. They already did that on the Zero Stress, but now that they're doing that on the Axe, it's solid. L Style, I've always felt their range was a little bit limited if you don't want to play a flight. So I threw L Style for a bit, but just ended up with Union Jack flights. The only other one I really ever copied or took inspiration from was David Evans. Everybody else was a bit more just too aware of which player it was, and I had no allegiance to any of those players. That's the next for me. It's who can take that the next step, right? Everybody's done flights and stems and things like the Pro Grips or the Grip Locks or Gripper 2s or whatever across those brands, but actually the ones that really, the Super Grips are Harrows. Harrows really took it and ran with the flight and stem market a few years ago by offering the different color combinations. It's whoever gets up and running with the next stage of the design on those and can mass produce them.
Yeah.
It's also how quickly the rest of the top pros pick them up, because I don't see Humphries changing. A plastic flight and stem on that length would massively alter his darts. I don't think Van Geuren will be one to throw them, although that might help with his darts. In the minute we're saying that he's throwing a bit different, that might change the way he grips them again. Wright's tinkered a bit. Littler's one. A lot of youth players are using them these days. It might be 5-10 years before we see a big transition, but it will come.
None of the top. I don't think any of the current top 6 will change to a molded flight and stem in their career. Humphries, MVG, Smith, Price, Aspinall, Cross.
I think we could see Smith.
Not
I
sure
don't think Shot make one at the minute, which would be different. But I think we could see a Smith. I think the way that his darts sit in the board. Van Geuren, look, like you said, I don't think we will, but actually, could he then do something radical that then changes the entry and he starts getting results from it? Possibly. Look, his manufacturer have got their own, and if they talk him into it and go, actually, give this a try and see what happens. If he sees results, you never know. Aspinall, the way that he grips and then his darts, the flight of his dart, the trajectory, isn't right for a molded flight and stem at all. Price, I think he'll retire before 5 years, so we won't see it within 5 years. Cross, you never know. Chizzy already does. Peter Wright's experimented. Dimmy, we might see. Johnny, no. He'll retire first. Heta maybe. Does Shot have one?
Interesting one, whilst you're looking at the Shot one. Who do we think is safe for the match play? Who upwards? Joel said Barney upwards.
Flight deck. That looks all right. I've not thrown one.
Not quite sure on that, personally. I think Gurney at 45 might be the cut-off at the minute. I think that Ratajski and Barney will probably qualify. Don't get me wrong, but I think that Daryl Gurney probably is the safest option right now. But I think as well, the second part of the question is who inside of a visual place do you think this is out? I think Brennan Doe and Andrew Gilding are going downhill right now, and I don't think that they will be in the 32-player field. I think, especially if he continues to play the way he's doing, Jermaine Watt-Mina. And I'm also going to say Martin Lukeman.
Got to get on a Euro tour. Didn't play in the first two.
Yes, he does. But but I think he can. I think if he does get there, if he does maybe get to Euro Tours 5 and 6, which are a possibility, obviously, because next week is the qualifier for him with the 2 Pro Tours. He's right there in the mix.
Yeah. Honestly, after making such a big deal about the way Philip Brzezinski says Martin Lukeman, to have not played in either of the first 2 Euro Tours has thoroughly disappointed me.
But I think everybody at the moment, I think Daryl Gurney can be happy. I think he's safe.
I think Ratajski's safe as well. I think Ratajski's safe.
I think Ratajski will qualify, but I think he just needs a little bit more. Same as Barney. I can't see how.
No, you're not allowed to say that. You get 10 weeks of is Ratajski safe in that regard.
Mate, Ryan Searle on £75,500. Is he safe for the match play yet?
Mathematically, no. Probability, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mind you, there's a few in there that Wade can't buy a win at the moment either.
He'll get a couple of wins on the Pro Tour.
Oh, yeah, he will, agreed. But at the moment, he can't buy a win.
Points on the board, though, Philip. He's already there.
Well, he has got points on the board, I agree. And yeah. I think he will make it. I think
his arm off, he's still there. Points on the board.
I think only 15 and 16 are in real danger. I genuinely do.
Yeah. I agree. I think Brendan Dolan and Andrew Gilding are going to be gone.
Yeah, I only think 15 and 16 are in danger.
Yeah, I think they're playing. I think the rest of the field are playing for 2 spots right now.
Yeah,
I think Schinder's going to continue. I think that win, that run to the semi-final on the Euro Tour for Shindy has put him pretty much there. But I think that it's Dolan and Gilding. Those are the 2 spots that are available right now.
I agree. Right, what other questions have we got coming in then, folks? When is Dennis Smith going to be at the Super Series? I don't even know if is he even still playing to a reasonable level anymore. Gob
still exists. I like Dennis. I absolutely love Dennis. He's a very good crack, and he's incredibly polite, and he's still fantastic to be around. But he's not troubling the Super Series anytime soon, I'm afraid.
Fair enough. Like I say, you see more of it on the seniors floor event, so that's why I was asking. Was he troubling?
One of those that just doesn't do technology at all. I do the draw, and he comes up to me and goes, "When am I playing? You're a gentleman." Always the same speech every single time. Blah blah blah. But he's brilliant. But yeah, he's not at the level to play at the Super Series right now, I'm afraid. There are a few more on the seniors tour. Ian Moss would have a decent crack. We see a fair few of them anyway.
Yeah.
But Dennis, I'm afraid, not for me.
I'll tell you, actually, one thing that did pop up on social, was it Monday, that Jack Main has appealed the DRA decision he put on his Twitter?
Yeah.
It's a bold decision. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it plays off for him. Look, I am not here to allege or to say anything at all about Jack's position, but from history, we all know how appeals to the DRA normally work.
Well,
is all I'm going to say on the issue.
The bit that I don't like is you're appealing to the body that have given you the sanction in the first place.
Yeah.
Totally if you're not just in darts, but in any sport, if you're appealing against something, it should be by an independent panel, not by the people that have given you the punishment in the first place. That's not just darts. That's in any sport.
But what independent body can he go to? Could he go to CAS if they say no?
Do you know how expensive it is to go to CAS?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Mercedes found that out after 2021, after Abu Dhabi. Found that out pretty quickly.
Yeah. But it's interesting that he's very publicly gone out and said, "No, I'm appealing," and everything like that.
As I say, we all know how appeals to the DRA normally go. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah. Evening, Dan. Hope you are good, mate.
Daniel, you will be joining us on Sunday, Chief, I believe.
The thing is that the can of worms it opens, if he wins the appeal, then it opens another can of worms of loss of earnings, X, Y, and Z.
Yep. 100%. I think it's a very, very bold strategy going down that road.
But look, if he believes he's innocent, then fair play to him. Like I say, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but he's backing himself.
Yes.
I think that's just about it. Adam, I don't know, but
I was just going to say, are we actually going? Are we definitely doing Sunday night? Just so I'm clear.
100%, we will do something on Sunday.
Good. Right.
Where?
On the channel.
I'll be fucking deleting that.
You will do no such thing. Know your role and shut your mouth.
We may have a sub channel being created, online wrestling.
Yes.
We're too busy to cover darts properly, mate.
And the best thing is that Barzi hasn't realised this. The following day at midday, he's back on stream because he's doing a frigging Players Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm reffing.
Are you doing Super Series?
Well, I sort of live down here now, yeah.
Yeah. Correct, Daniel. Smell what we're cooking.
Yes. You got 2 roles.
We're then here for when Cody Rhodes wins.
And the story is complete.
Just like the live band is complete. There you go. Nice segue.
Yeah. Everyone, thank you very, very much for your continued support. Plenty coming up this week. Fallout Bar returns on Thursday. I'm at Premier League and then got 2 exhibitions, so we'll have plenty of content coming your way. But everyone, thank you very much as always. Back to a Monday as well. Great to have Jar back. The boy band is back together for a night, which is all good. But I'm with Phil Bars, Jack Garwood, and Jarlath Deaton. Thank you very much as always, everyone. One last time, make sure you drop us a like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all very, very soon.
Bye.